वाहेगुरु 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 वाहेगुरु
वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की fateh. So in regards to Langar, and we're just going to have a look at the history of it, of when it first came about. And if we look back to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji Sama, when Padshah Ji was in the hometown of where Padshah Ji came upon this earth in Talwandi, as they were growing up, their father gives them 20 rupees to go and invest and go and buy some merchandise, come back and then sell it with profit. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji Maharaj Ji, they set off and they go with Bhai Balaji. And as they're about to reach the town where they were going to go and buy the merchandise from, which they're going to be selling at a profit when they come back, they spot a group of sadhus sitting there, a group of saints sitting there. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah, remembering at this time of quite a young age, so probably in their teens, and their eyes directly go towards that direction and they start walking towards that direction. And then they asked this group of saints, this is, how long has it been since you've eaten? And they calmly, with much contentment, they answered, and they said, it's been about 7 days since we've actually had any proper food. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji, when they looked at them, they took pity on them. Tars khada, tars meaning that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji, obviously filled with compassion, saying to them that I can't sit here and watch you go any longer without any food, and we've got to fill your stomachs. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji straight away take out that 20 rupees given to them by their father and said, let's arrange some food for you guys. The head of the saints, of the sadhus that was sitting there, he was very wise, a very content person as well. So his name was Santaran, and he said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, says, look, you're young and your father's given you a lot of money, because for them days 20 rupees was a lot of money, equivalent to thousands of today. And he said, look, we're fine, and you're going to get into trouble for this, so you shouldn't be doing this, put your money away and we'll be okay. And this obviously made Guru Nanak Dev Ji feel even more so that they're sitting here quite content, they're not out there begging, and I should definitely feed these guys, you know. And so Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji put on a nice feast for them. And now if we think about what Guru Nanak Dev Ji did with those 20 rupees, which is quite amazing. And a lot of the times we say Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah ne 20 rupees da langar chalaya, but as well as that being true, but if we look at that to be a little bit deeper, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji didn't only invest in langar, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji invested 20 rupees in abolishing poverty. That was the beginning of Guru Nanak Dev Ji telling us how we should be living and how we should be investing money that we all have, that we've got plates full of food at home, and how we wouldn't really need to see anybody within this world go hungry. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji invested 20 rupees in abolishing what we know to be poverty today and hunger. So, and then continuing from that, if we look at the history of Langar, and then some people may say, then shouldn't Langar only be distributed outside? Shouldn't Langar only be distributed to those, to the needy, to the poor, the ones that can't afford it, to outside? So why have we got Langar in Gurdwara as well? And if we look at that, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when the time came when they settled down in Kartarpur Sahib, and at that time when they had a daily routine, when they were doing Nitnem in the morning, Asadiwar Kirtan, they'd all go out and do farming in the day. At that time, Langar started to come about and to be more taking form within the Gurdwara as well, what they called the Dharamsal back then. But then if we look at Mata Khivi Ji's time, Guru Angad Dev Ji's time, Mata Khivi Ji formalized the Langar concept within a Gurdwara Sahib, as much as just like Guru Angad Dev Ji Padshah Ji had a karsha where they had the serving bowl and they were giving out shabad as a form of Langar, Mata Khivi Ji was giving out actual food and giving physical Langar out as well. And Bani tell us about this, where Bani say about Mata Khivi Ji, Balwand Khivi Nek Jan, Jis Bauti Shau Patrali, Langar Daulat Vandiye, Ras Amrit Kheer Kyali. So Guru Angad Dev Ji Padshah Ji, they were satisfying the needs of people's empty minds where the souls needed to be nourished. Guru Angad Dev Ji was handing out the Shabad, given them, passed on to them by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Mata Kivi Ji was looking after everyone's stomach as well. Coming to see Guru Angad Dev Ji and thinking that, and their minds to be in their stomach and not being able to focus upon Vaheguru Ji's name. So, but if we look at this, a lot of people today say in the Langar that we should only have simple foods. But Mataji was giving foods there was kheer made out of, so rice pudding, kheer made out of ghee, which is, unsalted butter, purified butter. So it's a very heavy diet. Mataji, but the thing here was they weren't only giving out langar. Mata Khivi Ji, just a bahut hi show patrali, Gurbani says she was like a shadowing leaf. So she was also giving people comfort. So if we look at that, she must have been serving with so much love. And she was there to help people if anybody needed any advice as well. And that's the whole concept of Langar, should be it should be that. But then if we move on from that, and then Guru Amar Das Ji Padshah Ji, they brought about something called Pangat and then Sangat, to go and eat first and then come to Guru Sahib. So what was the concept? Why Guru Amar Das Ji Padshah was telling the Sangat to go and sit down and have Langar first, and then to come and see and then have darshan of Guru Amar Das Ji Padshah? The reason for that was, there's a lot of places we'll go to where we hear people preaching, but Guru Amar Das Ji Padshah Ji saying that before you even reach the Guru, I want you to see the practice taking place of equality, where whether a king comes, whether the emperor called Akbar comes into this darbar, he's going to be sitting next to that person that the world calls an untouchable, that person that hasn't even got a shell in his pocket. Guru Amar Das Ji saying that I'm going to show you this concept first, and then when you reach inside, then nobody can question that this Guru has empty words. You would have seen it with your own eyes, that equality is definitely practiced in this house. So Guru Amar Das Ji Padshah Ji formalized sitting down in Pangat means in one line, on the same level, and not discriminating. You could be sitting next to anyone. So that's a little background on Langar. And today, what we saw happening in the last probably 30-40 years was the Langar ended up remaining within the four walls of a Gurdwara. And people started to say that, it shouldn't be given out to maybe somebody that's been drinking alcohol. And this is a very pure and pavitra food that shouldn't be taken outside. Just Bhog Laga means when you take it to Guru Sahib Ji to bless. And that langar shouldn't be taken out to people outside that are maybe taking drugs or haven't maybe got their heads covered. So a langar should be eaten in a particular manner. But we can't condemn both ideas. Yes, the langar should remain in a Gurdwara, and it should be taken out as well, because both of these, as we've already heard, can be backed up from our history. Just like we know Mata Khivi Ji was giving it out in the form of within a Gurdwara Sahib, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah, when they started it didn't happen like that. Remember, from the very first time they went out and gave it out to those people that were sitting out there that really needed that food. So we can't condemn both ideas. The langar should be in a Gurdwara and should be taken out as well. If we look at the Ardas, that will then help. It will help us to clarify things a little bit more. The Ardas tells us that Deg Jalai, Deg Wahi, Dekh ke Anadit Kita. That what was the Guru's concept? Ke Deg Jalai. Deg means food. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padshah Ji's house started off this concept of giving food, a free kitchen. And Deg Jalai, not only food, but Deg Wahi. Deg Wahi means somebody that in the Guru's house will wield the sword as well. That we're here to protect, not only to feed, we're here to shelter as well. We're here for those that are downtrodden, that nobody else asks about. We are to be their shoulder to cry on. And then Dekh ke Anadit Kita. This is the most amazing part, where people say that we're not to give food to somebody that has been drinking alcohol. But Sadhguru Ji is saying that overlook their shortcomings. Don't look at their flaws. Dekh ke, look at them, you've seen them, but dekh ke anadit kita, but then look away from them. And why? Why should we look away from them? Why is it people say this food is so pure and we shouldn't give it to them? Why should we look away from them? Because if you are feeding somebody that food and eventually you're not asking for anything back, because that's what seva means. Seva kart hoye nehkami tisko hot prapt swami. Seva kart, whilst you're serving, seva kart hoye nehkami, that you don't desire anything in return. To the extent you don't desire even a pat on the back. Even that person you're feeding, you don't even desire for them to say thank you. You don't expect, you've got no expectation from even your society, from your Gurdwara, your Gurpais to say, well done, you're doing a great job. You've got no expectation at all. Why are you doing it? Because your heart is filled with compassion, just like Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha Ji's was. And they couldn't help. They couldn't see that hunger, and then for that reason they couldn't help but give. That's what seva is. So, dekh ke anadit kita, when you overlook that, and you keep giving them with compassion, eventually, din da day, you keep giving, you become the giver, and then lande thak pahe, and they get tired. What does it mean to get tired? It's not that they stop eating, that they put their hands together and they say, I can't believe you keep giving it to me. Where has this concept come from? That's when you can open the dialogue, and then you can tell them about Guru Nanak Dev Ji Padsha. You can tell them about how great our Guru is, and then you can say, you know what, how about if we take you to the Gurdwara as well? Maybe now you found some comfort for your stomach, but now we can maybe find some comfort for your soul and your mind as well. And that you can do, taking them now to the Shabad through their stomach. So, Pulla Chuka Maaf, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.